get your feelings hurt. Read this.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Short Film Roundup.
Short
Film Roundup, where us three cursed filmmakers like to analyze, take apart, and scrutinize short films to see what we can learn from them.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
It's always awesome to become a better filmmaker.
Yes, absolutely. Today, our film that we will be learning from is Unhinged, sent to us by Inderdeep, who is a repeat offender. He sent us a film called My Guy Mordecai,
which was an award nominee last year.
Yes, it was.
Yep.
And you can go watch the film if you haven't already. There's a link down in the description about that. We do a weekly, basically, announcement video where on every Friday where we announce the following week's films.
Yeah,
so that way
films that we'll be covering the following week.
Yeah, just to give you more time to digest the films and watch them on your own accord, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And come up
We
with your own
really
thoughts.
deep dive into the film here, and it's important that you've seen it and have had a chance to really absorb it. But also, we want to hear from you guys too. So if you watch it ahead of time, you can collect your own thoughts. Let us know in the comments what you thought about the movie.
Yes.
Agree with us, disagree with us. And hopefully we all become better filmmakers because of the process.
Exactly, yeah.
That being said,
I just want to state we did do this announcement video a little late. Usually we do them on Fridays.
Yeah.
And because of that, we don't have a lot of reviews from you guys to talk about in this episode, but we will in later episodes.
that's how it's going to work moving forward.
Yes.
That being said,
Yes. Who's gonna be? Who's gonna be?
Unhinged.
What
Who's
can
gonna
we
be?
learn
Who's
from
gonna be?
Unhinged?
I'm gonna choose one of you guys to start us off.
So nervous.
Not about what you thought, but about what you think we can learn.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
Taylor.
Whoa. Okay, so Unhinged is...
It's pronounced unhinged.
Unhinged is a drama, but something really interesting happened when we watched this.
Yes.
Me and Kenny both laughed at this film, and we thought it was intentionally comedic. And it wasn't until about halfway through for myself that I started to realize that this was a genuine attempt at drama and suspense.
Suspense.
Yeah. As the title suggests, it's in parentheses, suspense short film.
Yeah.
And that kind of prompted the question as to why this happened.
Why it elicited laughter from us.
Yeah,
As opposed to
suspense or drama,
Yeah.
which was the deliberate intention behind the film.
I want to point out that typical audience members will say something like, this film takes itself too seriously at this point. And I think we're going to discuss what that means.
Yeah, in depth.
In depth here. So let's talk about first, let's just try to approach this question of why we think this film takes itself too seriously.
Yeah. So I think ultimately it's a tone problem.
Definitely.
It's the tone that's not working. Right. Now, overall, I felt like this movie does work.
I do too.
But it worked for the wrong... It delivered... I don't think it delivered what it tried to.
Yes, that's
right?
the difference.
And we've once defined a movie's success by whether or not it met the filmmaker's intention.
Yeah,
right?
Intention. Yeah.
Now, later on in comments, perhaps Inderdeep will let us know if what his intention was, but we're all sort of unified in guessing that this was meant to be a suspense movie.
Yes.
Okay? This was all delivered with so much drama, so much overemphasis on everything. There is nothing subtle about it, right?
Yeah.
Everything is sort of... All the drama is really cranked up, very soap opera-ish, which is why we felt like this is parody.
Yeah.
Right? And I ate it up, actually.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is one that's very common with new filmmakers and inexperienced filmmakers is how to put this? They overestimate how much they have to throw out there on the screen to get a thought or emotion across.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, definitely
overestimate it. They oversell it.
That's a really interesting thought, that they overestimate. Where do you think that comes from?
Well, the best actors out there,
Yeah.
it's all about subtlety.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it's like you know, guys who've been doing it for forever, like Morgan Freeman, can sell an emotion with like his eyebrow.
Right.
You know, he doesn't have to do some very extravagant thing. So I think it's actually a kind of lack of confidence in yourself and your storytelling.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
You go over the top and hoping the audience will understand
Will
what you're
catch on.
trying to communicate. You just don't have to go that far, though.
Yeah.
I think it comes from a place of showing like I can do this. Like I can do drama, but again, like you're saying, overselling it. Because like I've made this movie, which is a phrase we use a lot.
Yeah, I have too.
But like I've literally
we all have made this movie.
I've made the movie with the intention like, okay, in this one, I'm gonna show off my dramatic chops, and I'm gonna really be like, nope, this isn't me just messing around with the camera. This is being dramatic and serious.
Right.
And that film turned out to be like way over the top and really comedic
Silly.
as a result.
Yeah.
In retrospect.
So just to give examples so that the audience and Inderdeep know what we're referring to.
Right.
So right at the beginning when they cut to that dramatic shot of the gun, you know, just here he goes, "Hey, a suicide letter to myself." He comes walking out of the shadows here. Again, that's a very cliche overdramatic shot. Then this, right?
The focus on the gun.
Yes, this is super soap opera-y.
Yeah.
And the narration kicks in and goes on for a long, long time. Very noir, you know, kind of style. All of it feels like it's calling back to some iconic type of media we've seen in the past.
Right.
Which again makes you feel like
it's a
parody.
A parody.
Right?
Yeah.
Parody or
It's
fan film,
tropey
tribute kind of thing.
And we use the word, right, cliche or trope.
Yeah.
We talk about that, right? It's eliciting a communication that you've seen elsewhere before.
Yes.
And only using those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's worth noting that this film is a good leap forward from where Inderdeep was with my guy Mordecai.
Definitely.
In terms of the shooting and editing.
Yeah.
And even
And
the
pacing.
sound.
Yeah.
There were still microphone issues here and proximity issues, big time, but it's way better. So improvement is good. And if you haven't seen My Guy Mordecai, it's worth going back and checking it out.
Yeah, it's a solid film.
It's
funny.
a fun film to watch.
Which is a comedy.
Yes.
It is comedy, yeah.
But then, like, when the guy gets caught at the end, he turns and looks into the mirror.
Yeah, at the very
And
end.
there's this loud
What
music
point is
sting.
that?
When he gets
At the
caught,
very end.
so go all the way at the end. Cop bursts in. Back there.
Right there.
When he's getting handcuffed, we have this shot where he looks in the mirror. The music, the dramatic music is coming in. He looks deep into his own eyes. It's just super sappy, right? Super dramatic. The cop bursting in out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's no explanation. He doesn't even try to explain how this cop happened to be there. It is literally the most Deus Ex Machina.
Yes.
That is the perfect example of Deus Ex Machina.
Well, and it's because other films have used that kind of savior to make...
But that is another trope from melodrama.
Yeah.
That is totally a melodrama sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's hard to take a movie like this seriously. It's funny because, like you said, a lot of people are going to watch this and say, oh, it takes itself too seriously.
Yeah.
When almost every decision it makes the audience take it less seriously.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
All that being said, I feel like this movie still succeeds in a lot of things as a very basic, filmmaking kind of thing. You know, like the shots are fairly decently chosen. And actually no, this is what it is. The pacing of it. The pacing feels really good to me throughout the whole thing. Like it never felt too long. Nothing felt too short. The scenes kept my interest throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did keep moving. I
And
think you're right about the pacing.
That's a huge improvement on My Guy Mordecai, which was way too long.
Way longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very, haphazard, choppy.
Yeah, the pacing
It was
like,
weird. It
Yeah,
was a totally
it was
weird
really
movie.
strange.
Yeah. And this is a story. I mean,
Right.
we've seen many, many short films where it's just like, okay, did the characters actually go anywhere? Did they come from someplace? Did they have an objective or an agenda?
Right.
Were there obstacles in their way to overcome?
Right.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah, that's kind of funny because the storytelling here is done efficiently and like it tells the story,
The arc is there.
Yeah.
The arc is present.
but it's just the tone is what.
See, I don't
Flips
think
you
I
off.
think tone is the wrong term.
Okay.
I don't know what to call it, but I would say that the tone of this piece is very dramatic. You know,
Yes.
that's what I would say. So I wouldn't say that that's a tone problem.
I would
Because being dramatic is what it was trying to be.
yeah
yes,
yeah,
but
the tone being melodrama and
right.
over
So
the top.
like the difference being, we're talking there's drama and there's drama.
Right.
Right. So this has a dramatic tone.
Yeah.
But does the audience feel any drama?
Right.
Not really.
Right.
Because they're not speaking or acting in the way real humans react.
Well, the drama, the tone is melodrama, and I don't think that was the intention. The intention was to have a tone of suspense and
You know where
grounded drama.
this style is very popular and prevalent is Bollywood.
Yeah,
And so Inderdeep, don't know if you're influenced by Bollywood at all, but that it does have a Bollywood vibe.
yeah.
All soap operas have it also.
Totally.
Complete melodrama where everything is cranked up to 11.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that can be cool too. Like
The music felt very soap opera.
Twin Peaks is a extreme melodrama that does melodrama like in a really cool way that doesn't.
But it's
play it for
intentional.
camp. Right.
It's
It
intentional.
comes from an intentional.
So let's
point of
dial
view.
back into this question then of what we can learn from this and how, if in fact Inderdeep's intention was suspense, right?
Yes.
Where did it go wrong and how to do it better, right?
Well, if the word is suspense and we're getting that just from the title, I don't think there's any suspense in this movie at all.
That's true. I would agree. I'd say there's no suspense in here.
Maybe if we walked a little further into that opening scene,
Yeah.
we have this setup, which is actually a very comical setup because the first line almost sounds like a joke. The first line in the movie is a
Yeah.
suicide note from myself.
Yeah.
And we're hearing what's inside of his mind.
Yeah.
And then he goes like, "Oh, you're probably wondering how I got into this situation."
Right.
Like it's immediately
It feels
comical.
like a comedy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas if this scene ran all the way to the point where he's putting a knife up to his throat and then we cut back to how we got here, now I'm sort of like, okay, what's going to happen?
Yeah. I believe. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Am I cutting you off?
No,
You
go ahead.
You go.
Okay.
You go. Dean.
I have a whole new topic here.
Okay, well then let me throw this in. Then.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Motivation also. Character motivation, because the character's motivation to do this stuff is literally like he doesn't get his paper graded and he can't get a full ride scholarship into a place, and so his answer to that is to scheme and literally what made me laugh and assume that this was a comedy was this. Can you actually pull it up here? If we go back to the scene where he's banging on the dresser here. Yeah. From this shot, from the previous scene into this shot, like the dialogue here is like
he was
he's
like, "I
like
was filled
I've
with
never
rage."
felt such immense rage
yeah.
and frustration in my
Yeah.
life over not getting a good grade on his
Right.
essay.
So that being said, that kind of motivation can exist within a film and feel bad at the same time, the way they want us to do it, but it wasn't delivered here. And I would say that over like going to a feature film example, Psycho, or not Psycho. What am I talking about? American Psycho.
Yeah.
Where we're talking about business cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
See? Now, what's his name loses his mind that the guy's business card is just better than his.
Yeah.
But we go into the nitty gritty details. We see how messed up he is just by looking at like he's focused on every detail, and then we crank that up even more. Look at my business card. Look at my business card, and we just keep piling it on and keep showing him sweating and getting like this anger.
Yeah.
And like that whole emotion that we're building up is building up this empathy that we can kind of relate with him. We can kind of understand exactly what is happening in his mind, and this whole thing kind of assumes that we're already on that level with this guy.
Right.
Like we already believe he would do something crazy for this
Yes.
grade, and we haven't got there
But we
yet.
haven't been given anything to draw that conclusion.
Exactly.
So obviously, one of the big gaps here, we have completely undeveloped characters.
Right.
Right.
Right. And I think that's what makes it a, quote, melodrama, is because I think if something is cranked up to 11, it's only realized that it's cranked up that much because we're not right there with the character.
Right. And so, like Saturday morning serials from the 1950s and radio sci-fi programs, part of the reason why they didn't develop characters was because they needed everyone to be able to understand the story regardless of when they came into it. Right. So
Exactly,
everything was very archetype.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to be the good guy for very obvious reasons, and you're going to be the bad guy for very obvious reasons. We're not going to tell you much more other than that.
Right.
To keep everything very straight and simple. Problem is, you don't get very emotionally invested into something like that.
Right.
And that's what we have here.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Now, this can work as a melodrama, as we talked about, right? This can be something that's just over the top. Can be, like you said, 1950s radio play. It can be that, but the intent didn't feel that way, and I think the reason why it didn't feel that way is because it is a short film. It is called a suspense film. There's dialogue in here that seems like it's supposed to be genuine, and it's telling a more or less intimate story about a college, situation.
Yeah.
So it does feel like it's supposed to be something that's grounded in reality.
Yeah.
But it could have been, something super crazy. It could have been something super funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think it went that way.
So we had mentioned before we started recording The Room.
Yeah.
The Room is an example of a movie where the film ended up being something very different than what the filmmaker originally intended. And I think for very similar reasons.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. In The Room, we have also a drama that's supposed to be grounded.
And it's supposed to be extremely serious.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Nothing. It's very hard to take it seriously.
And it's because you're not connected with any of the characters. You're just watching things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, in movies, just because you see it happen doesn't mean you're emotionally there.
Right.
I think another
sympathize and empathize.
Right.
Another lesson to take from Unhinged here is we have many parts of the story that we are told happen as opposed to watching them happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A very long sequence where the bad guy reveals his plan, and so he talks about something he did with his best friend and his wife, but we just hear him saying, I did this thing. And it was a pivotal thing that caused him to become extremely depressed. Right. And it's the whole evidence for why people are going to buy it as a suicide, right?
Right.
But we don't see it. We hear it. We just hear him talking about it.
Yeah.
And in a movie, it is very difficult to make suspense or drama or laughter or anything with just talking about something. In this visual media, you got to show it. This too, like that bit where it's like freeze framed on that girl and zoomed in. Again, that's like something you'd see in a comedy.
Yeah.
I wonder what the intention there was, because that seems very real TV.
Yeah.
Wow, to be 90s, geez.
Yeah.
That seems very
it seems like you're
spy.
Yes, exactly. It's like a spy. He's
think
sitting there with his camera.
I think that's what they
taking
were
a photo.
trying to show was that he became this undercover dude to figure out what made his professor tick so he could then destroy him.
I want to say that they did,
but it felt silly.
They did some shots in here that used voyeurism, like voyeuristic shots correctly, inappropriately.
Which shots?
I don't remember where it was off the top of my head, but like he was just looking. Oh, right there.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was really good.
Stalking.
Yep.
Yeah. And this one too, actually.
Yeah.
Except for the
freeze
frame. The freeze frame
got
and the
weird.
zoom. Yeah. And okay, this might be just totally off topic now.
Bring it on.
Okay. And this is
not
very,
afraid.
very practical. I have a tip I want to give about lighting in the opening shot. If you can go back to that real quick. This shot right there.
Yes, the hard shadow.
That harsh shadow, like the first time I ever tried using lights for something, I did that.
Everyone does.
Because what you do is you just take the light and you just shine it.
That's
at
the other thing
object,
that just screams new filmmaker.
Yeah.
Is when you see that shadow.
Yeah.
Unless you're setting up the horror scare where the shadow moves independently of the person, there's no reason to have that kind of shadow in your movie.
Yeah.
And if you do want to do a hard contrast thing, then I think it would have served you to just raise the light itself up a little bit, so it's not down up. Other than that, also just bounce it off the ceiling.
Because there's no lights in the house
Yeah.
that are going to be throwing a tall shadow.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That's the thing. Yeah.
It looks like your lights are on the floor.
It looks like your lights are on the floor. Yeah. Like this guy walks in, he keeps his lamps on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like a weird thing. He keeps his extremely powerful lamps on the floor.
On the floor.
Right.
You gotta bounce it off the ceiling, bounce it off the wall, diffuse it. There's a
Yeah.
million things you can do that doesn't cost anything.
I have one other thought. This film starts, the very first thing we hear is a line inside the professor character's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
You see where I'm going
Yeah.
here.
We had the same. We talked about this last episode.
The rest of the movie is from the other character's mind,
That's weird.
which makes you go, whose perspective is this?
Right.
God's perspective? A psychic who can hear? I mean, it really should have only been the murderer's perspective.
And if this was fine, going inside his head and the murderer's, then that means throughout the whole movie we need to both be
back and forth.
Right. Yeah. So that was the weird part, was not going back into professor's mind.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
It's like, why not just have him say that line?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, why is he talking to himself? But
Except again, unless you were making a melodrama.
Yeah.
Because like that is such a melodrama trope. The guy walks out on the stage, picks up some red stick and goes, but this looks like dynamite.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
We just watched The Prodigy today, and they did that in that movie all the time. They had the characters just talking to themselves.
Just announce.
Yeah, just saying like little lines about what they're gonna do. It's like, come on. So even the big movies are making these mistakes.
Everyone does
you know?
that. Yeah. A tip that I would give, I think, for this kind of thing, what we can learn from this is, if you need to get across this kind of information, I would do it visually in some aspect.
Absolutely.
You know,
however you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because the guys, I would show his name somehow.
Yeah. Name tag.
Yeah.
Come home from work.
Yeah. Come home from work, take off his jacket, has a name tag.
I would try to eliminate 75% of the dialogue in this movie.
Yeah.
The narration.
Yeah.
I mean.
So the narration worked for me the same way the melodrama worked for you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like a noir film.
Right.
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 But it definitely took away from building any kind of suspense.
Yeah.
Right?
Or any character
because
development. Yeah.
The thing that happens is you become disconnected from this character, the professor.
Yeah.
You become disconnected from him. You're not actually caring that much about his fate or what happens to him because we are the murderer.
Yeah.
We're in his perspective.
Yeah.
We're more interested in finding out what he's going to do. We're not worried about the professor.
Yeah. And I want to
We're actually against the professor.
I want to say that this kind of outside perspective that we have here can work in films, and we've my wife likes to watch Mexican soap operas, which are hilariously overdramatic, and you are never ever in anyone's mind. Everyone's just saying their wear their heart on their sleeve.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. But she says it's almost like cotton candy, like it's really bad. Mm-hmm. And it's really bad for you, but you just kind of want to keep going because the same reason why people want to watch Michael Bay movies. It's just it's eye candy is what it is.
Yeah.
And for her, it's almost like mind candy.
Yeah, like emotional candy.
Emotional candy.
Yeah.
Exactly. So those things can work, I think, in different contexts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or again, like Twin Peaks does melodrama incredibly.
I would agree with you if I've ever seen Twin Peaks.
Ooh, sad.
Ooh, do I need to take this off now? My filmmaker hat.
Yeah.
Do we get access to Twin Peaks here in the Void? Because I sure would love
I
to.
watch it all the time.
All right,
Yeah.
well, let's make sure D gets caught
I'll
up
have to watch.
Yeah.
on Twin Peaks. This again is on the exposition point of the movie, and how much of it was verbal versus visual. But boy, at the end when he started dishing his dastardly past to his victim and telling him, "Oh, I murdered my dad because he abused me when my mom passed away when I was a child," and it was just like,
Yeah.
holy cow!
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
like that's stuff that you got to build in. Find a way to leak it out earlier in the movie, because
Yeah.
that actually would have been valuable character development.
And
Yeah.
engaging to listen to.
Right, like if we had found a way to get that in early, now I'm like, I'm starting to build some empathy with this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If he's crazy, let us be crazy with him.
Yeah.
But we can't be crazy with him without knowing where it came from. Revealing it right at the end just doesn't cut it.
All right.
Alrighty.
Shall we move on to some questions?
Yes. So, important part of Short Film Roundup is we love to hear back from the filmmaker. So now we're going to be specifically talking to you, Inderdeep. Again, rest of the audience, feel free to chime in on any of these topics or anything
Yeah,
else.
let us know what you guys thought of the film in the comments down below as well.
Yes, if you haven't already, because you should have already.
Yeah. Do your homework, guys.
I want to start out.
Yeah.
Questions. Why? No.
As always.
What? I specifically want to know to you, Inderdeep, if you made this film as a melodrama, if you wanted to make everything specifically like we talked about, soap operas or like Bollywood stuff, where it's intentionally staying out of their heads and you're just like looking at everything for what did you call it? Emotion candy.
Yes.
Is it that kind of stuff? Or did you want to have it more of a heartfelt kind of suspenseful, grounded reality film? That would be my only question.
Only question.
Yeah.
Gotta pass it on.
I would like to know. Basically, my biggest question is like what Dee asked. I want to know what your intentions were for the film. If you decided one day like, hey, I want to make this drama and show the world what I can do as a serious filmmaker, or what else you had in store. But I also want to. I guess I have more encouragement to give to you than a question. And I just want to say that you should keep making films, and I want to see your future films because I think you have talent. Because I think both of these films that we've watched of yours have like this certain kind of like storyteller quality to it that I think is just waiting to be developed further. So keep practicing, make more films.
Yeah, and remember his first film was nominated in the category of the Genuity Award,
Right.
Which is our special award for films that just have a lot of heart, and genuineness poured into them.
Doesn't look like they're trying to impress.
And again, this is another example of feeling like this he made this because of him. Right?
Yeah.
'Cause
It
he
definitely
wanted
doesn't
to.
feel like you're
Inderdeep's
like,
putting
I'm
his heart
awesome.
out here,
Yeah.
instead of just showing off or something.
Yeah.
Right.
My question, because Short Film Roundup is all about us learning and becoming better filmmakers, I can't help but notice that you have become a better filmmaker from My Guy Mordecai to Unhinged. I want to know what you learned in that time to make the difference here on the screen. There's been some changes made. You have some, I'm guessing, some upgrades in gear, or at least technique with that gear. So what are some of the things that you learned from your past films that you used on this film to have what is clearly a higher production value in what you ended up making?
Good question.
Cool.
Very good.
So thank you to Inderdeep for sending us Unhinged, and thank you to all of you for watching along with us. Once again, if you learned something from Unhinged that we didn't touch on here, let us know in the credits. We will definitely...
Comments.
Yeah.
In the comments.
Let us know in...
We're filmmakers here.
Let us know in the comments, and we will definitely see you there and comment as well and talk to you there. Are we going to do a feedback episode?
at some point.
talk
At
about
some
doing
point, we will.
Let's try it.
We
Let's
want
try
to
it
do
for
a
this week.
feedback episode where we'll talk about the things you want to talk about. Does that
Yeah.
sound good?
We're making decisions on air.
That's right.
The thing is, we want to get more things for us to do,
Yeah.
more
And the
entertainment.
thing is, the void is really, really boring.
There's not a
It
lot to do here.
sucks.
Every so often, Payman lets us see a movie. He sends it through. He has a streaming service.
Yeah, called Payment X.
Yeah,
That was weird.
Payment
Payment
Plus,
Flix.
Payment X.
Payment Flix.
That's what it is.
That's the porn?
Yeah, Payment
Oh, is
X
Payment
is
X
something
the porn
very
channel?
different.
Yeah, that's the porn website.
Wait, I don't get that. Do you get?
I get that.
Anyway, the problem is most of the movies are things like The Prodigy.
Yeah, which was
Oh,
were
yeah, dude.
horrible.
Yeah.
Which was
Oh,
so
my
bad.
God.
We actually
dude.
covered that on our podcast, The Talkies.
Yes,
Yeah.
check it out. It's a good podcast.
It is a good podcast.
It's funny because we
okay.
watched Unhinged and The Prodigy on the same day.
Yes.
And again, to Inderdeep or to anyone else watching, Unhinged was way
Oh, yeah.
better.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
like
Was
seriously.
seriously better.
Yeah. Like
Prodigy
without a doubt.
was
Was
Horrid.
so unenjoyable. I was emotionally dead.
yeah. I had a lot more fun with this.
Despite
Way
some of the
in-
flaws that we discussed, this had so much more heart and life to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're ahead of 90% of Hollywood movies, to be
Yes.
honest.
Yeah.
Keep
So,
it up.
Congratulations, you win.
All
You
right.
win at-
Thanks again
at
for
Hollywood.
watching another episode of Short Film Roundup. And until next time, I'm Kenny,
I'm D.
I'm Taylor.
and we'll see you in the void.
Yeah.
I wish we could see them.
I'm
All we see is cameras.
gonna take a nap.